care and use of Desco grinders and sanders is presented by Desco Manufacturing Company. Part 2 of 4, Description and Operation. In this section, we provide a general description of grinders and sanders with examples of what they are often used for. In the context of this training video, a grinder or sander is defined as a handheld power tool used for smoothing, stripping, or shaping a surface. The primary uses are grinding, sanding, scuffing, and feathering. Grinding shapes a surface. Sanding smooths a surface. Scuffing adds texture to a surface. The goal of scuffing is to clean a surface while creating a texture for a new coating to better adhere. Feathering blends uneven surfaces, such as where old coatings meet bare metal. Common tasks suitable for using sanders or grinders include scuffing and feathering paint, removing paint, rust, or corrosion, and deslagging welds. A backup pad joins an abrasive to the sander by providing an attaching mechanism. The attaching mechanism varies depending on the abrasive type and size. 2-inch, 3-inch, and 4-inch backup pads use a roll-lock style mechanism to attach abrasives. 4.5-inch and 7-inch backup pads use either a center nut style mechanism or a hook and loop style mechanism to attach abrasives. See abrasives and backup pads later in this section for more information. An abrasive is a substance that abrades or wears away at a surface through friction. Within the scope of this training exercise, abrasives are available in two types. They are coated abrasives and conditioning discs. See abrasives and backup pads later in this section for more information. For the purpose of this training exercise, Navy sanders and grinders are pneumatic or powered by compressed air. These tools require air delivered at 90 pounds per square inch. Depending on the tool, the volume of air required is between 14 and 18 cubic feet per minute. Abrasives and backup pads are simple. A backup pad simply holds the abrasive and attaches to the sander. However, because the backup pad varies depending on pad size and abrasive type, this is often an area of confusion. Therefore, a discussion of sanders and grinders would not be complete without a discussion of abrasives and backup pads. The abrasives in scope for this training exercise are coated abrasives and conditioning discs. A coated abrasive is simply industrial-grade sandpaper like what you used in your high school woodshop class. Coated abrasives are available in various sizes and textures which are measured in grit, which defines the coarseness. Key to understand is that coated abrasives are designed to remove surface material. There are varying degrees of quality in coated abrasives discs and materials used on such discs. Materials can vary from silicon carbide, aluminum oxide, and synthetic material, to name a few. Furthermore, the backing which the abrasive is adhered to can vary from paper to cloth for added durability. A conditioning disc is an abrasive that resembles the scrubbing pad on the back of a sponge. Like coated abrasives, conditioning discs are available in various sizes and various degrees of coarseness. However, unlike coated abrasives, and key to understand is that conditioning discs are designed for scuffing and feathering as well as cleaning substrates without removing substrate material. Use of conditioning discs eliminate unsightly half moons and smiley faces, oftentimes left behind when coated abrasive discs are used by inexperienced tool operators. The backup pad types in scope for this training exercise are roll lock, center nut, and hook and loop. Roll lock style backup pads use a matching roll lock style abrasive. The roll lock disc has a built-in plastic bolt bonded to the back of the disc. That bolt screws into a matching threaded socket in the backup pad. Center nut style backup pads use an abrasive with a hole in the center of the disc. A nut is tightened over the hole to secure the abrasive disc to the backup pad. Hook and loop style backup pads use a Velcro-like fastener to secure the abrasive disc to the backup pad. It is critical to make sure the disc is centered and firmly seated on the backup pad. A lot of important information on abrasives and backup pads was just presented. Let's review. The mini die grinder is available with 2-inch or 3-inch backup pads. Either size uses both coated abrasives and conditioning discs. Regardless of abrasive type, they will always use the roll lock attaching mechanism. Roll lock uses a threaded socket in the backup pad and a matching threaded bolt bonded to the center of the abrasive disc. Roll lock could not be more simple. You just screw it into the backup pad and you are ready to go. The next sander we discuss will be the large sander, the 7-inch sander. The 7-inch sander does the same jobs but uses different attaching mechanisms. The 7-inch sander still uses both coated abrasives or conditioning discs, but the backup pad is going to be different. You might look at these sanders and think they are identical, but in reality, when you turn them over, you find they are not. What you see is that the backup pad is a center nut style attachment which is used for coated abrasives. And this backup pad is a hook and loop style attachment which is used for conditioning discs. So, when compared to the mini die grinder, the 7-inch sander does similar jobs with similar abrasives, but uses different backup pads. Both methods work well, but recognize that they are different. Now we are going to the medium sander, which is the 4-inch and 4.5-inch sander. There are some interesting things about these sanders. At the 4-inch size, they use roll lock, which is identical to the attaching mechanism of the small grinders. The bolt bonded to the back of the abrasive attaches to the matching socket in the backup pad. The abrasive is attached very quickly and easily in the same manner regardless of whether it is a coated abrasive or a conditioning disc. Now when we go to the 4.5-inch, everything changes. The 4.5-inch uses a center nut style backup pad with coated abrasives and a hook and loop style backup pad for conditioning discs. If something about that sounds familiar, it should. A quick review explains why and is an important point about the medium sanders. The 4-inch uses roll lock, just like the small grinder. The 4.5-inch uses center nut or hook and loop, just like the large sander. Abrasives and backup pad procedures will be described for each of the tools discussed. Changing abrasives could not be more simple. Regardless of whether it is a conditioning disc or a coated abrasive, you simply spin the abrasive to remove and then spin it back on to put it back on. It's as simple as that. Now, changing the backup pad is a little more complicated. You need to first lock the spindle and then release the collet. The backup pad comes out. The new backup pad gets inserted. Tighten the collet. Put on a abrasive. You're ready to go. The medium-sized sander with the 4-inch backup pad uses roll lock. Just like the mini die grinder, the roll lock spins off. The bolt attaches to the socket and it spins back on. Couldn't be more simple. It's perfectly centered when it's done. For the 4.5 inch, it uses the center nut style locking mechanism. To remove that, you need a spindle wrench to lock the spindle. You insert that like so. With the spindle locked, you remove the spanner, the center nut with the spanner wrench. Remove the center nut. Remove the abrasive. You're then free to put any abrasive that you like. Now, the conditioning disc uses the hook and loop style backup pad. It's like Velcro. You simply pull it off to remove the abrasive. To install a new abrasive, you center the disc on the pad and push to set the hook and loop. Centering the disc on the pad is important, as a disc out of center will cause vibration. Now, to change the backup pad, you again lock the spindle, twist off the backup pad. Now you're ready to put any backup pad you need. For example, you could put the hook and loop style backup pad. And you're good to go. The center nut style backup pad requires that you lock the spindle with the spindle wrench. You do so by inserting it from the front like so. And you take the spanner wrench and remove the center nut. You're now ready to put on any abrasive that you choose. For the hook and loop style backup pad, it uses Velcro just like the medium size. You pull it off, you can then put any abrasive on that you wish. To reinstall the abrasive, you center it on the backup pad and then press firmly to engage the Velcro. That's all it takes. Now to change the backup pad, again, you lock the spindle and twist off the backup pad. You're now ready to put on any backup pad you need. Simply spin it on, snug it tight, put on an abrasive, insert center nut, that's all there is to it. Before operating the sander, there are setup steps that should be taken to ensure safe and reliable operation. Safety measures are in place. You have considered the job site and task at hand and put into place safety measures that are situation appropriate. See the safety video for more information on safety practices. The compressed air power supply is in place. This includes all components necessary to deliver clean, dry air from a compressor to your tool at your job site at the required pressure and volume. See the air supply video for more information on air delivery. You inspect the tool to ensure it is ready to use. For example, the abrasive is properly installed and the throttle valve is functioning properly. Observing best practices while operating the sander promotes safety and efficiency of operation. Hold the sander firmly at all times while operating. The 2 and 3 inch mini grinder should be held with one hand, as the tool is too small to be held with both hands. The 4 and 7 inch sanders should be held with both hands. One hand on the tool body operating the throttle, and the other hand on the side handle to better stabilize the tool. Apply the tool to the work surface using slight hold-down pressure. There is no need to press down hard when grinding or sanding. Usually the tool's own weight with slight hold-down pressure is sufficient. Let the tool do the work. The tool should always be held at an angle to the work surface. Roll lock and hook and loop. Abrasive types with no center obstruction should be held at a very slight angle of about 5 degrees. Because there is no center obstruction, you might be thinking you could hold the abrasives flat on the surface. Theoretically you could, but you should not, because the purpose of the angle is to improve your control of the tool. Center nut. Abrasive types with a center obstruction should be held at a slightly larger angle of about 15 degrees. The purpose of the angle is to improve control and to avoid dragging the center nut on the work surface. To start the tool, release the double safety lock-off lever and pull the throttle valve. The double safety lock-off lever is a safety feature designed to prevent accidentally starting the tool. It works by requiring 2 steps to start the tool rather than a single step. To stop the tool, release the throttle valve. Move the tool in a forward to aft motion using a grid pattern where each stroke overlaps the last. The stroke length should be relative to your arm's reach and comfortable so that you can be in complete control for the entire stroke length. Keep the tool moving at all times. Leaving the tool in one spot will leave a scar on the surface which is often visible through a new protective coating. This circular scar is sometimes called a smiley face and is frowned upon by senior bosuns. Thank you and have a fine Navy day.